When the harvest ships appeared over Earth, humanity thought they'd come to save us, but in truth, they came to collect. The year was 3129, and humanity had long forgotten what it meant to plant seeds in the soil. Food came from replicators, nutrients from shimmering pills, and farms were now just museum exhibits for schoolchildren. The Earth had become sterile, not by catastrophe, but by efficiency. Yet somewhere beyond the shimmering atmosphere, the Zoryth Consortium watched with quiet amusement. They were an ancient galactic civilization that had catalogued 10,000 worlds and 10,000 species. To them, humans were a curious anomaly, technologically clever but biologically rich. Our DNA, forged from Earth's chaotic diversity, was something they could never replicate. To the Zoryth, organic strength was the true currency of the galaxy, and they called humanity's forgotten art of farming primitive. That is, until they realized what Earth's soil could do. It started when small Zoryth scout vessels landed in the shadows of abandoned farmlands across old continents: Kansas, Ukraine, Inner Mongolia, the Pampas. Their drones burrowed beneath the crust, planting biogenic catalysts, microscopic seeds that would rewrite the soil's code. The Earth began to breathe again, though not in any way humans understood. Then came the miracle crops. At first they were celebrated genetically engineered superplants that could grow in irradiated deserts, absorb carbon, and produce pure oxygen and protein filaments. Humanity saw them as salvation. Within 5 years, the planet turned green again. But something was wrong with that green. The plants sang, not in sound but in pulse. Their bioluminescent veins flickered with rhythmic waves, synchronized with cosmic radiation bursts from deep space. Scientists said it was natural adaptation. The Zoryth called it resonance. And in secret, they began to harvest. Small black ships moved silently at night, collecting not just plants but the energy they produced. A radiant, organic frequency known as Lumield. It could power entire starships, heal biological tissue, even rewrite genetic decay. It was the galaxy's most valuable energy source, and it was growing on Earth. By the time humanity realized they were being used, it was already too late. The fields glowed like auroras at midnight, and the first ascension event occurred, when a human farmer in Iowa touched a fully matured stalk and vanished into light. All around the world, people disappeared into the crops. The Zoryth called it harvest season, and from the command deck of their orbiting mothership, a Zoryth overseer stared at the blue-green planet below and whispered to his crew in cold reverence. They called it primitive, but this world has grown a god. The first harvest didn't just feed the galaxy. It changed the definition of life itself. In the month that followed the first ascension event, every continent reported the same phenomenon. The miracle crops, once green and beautiful, began to shimmer gold at dusk. Under moonlight, they emitted a low hum that rippled across the air like a heartbeat. People started to call it the planet's pulse. At first, governments tried to contain the panic. Scientists offered logical explanations: electromagnetic resonance, photonic energy feedback, atmospheric interference. But when drones sent into the golden fields failed to return, when their metal hulls melted into the soil, and their data vanished into static, logic had no meaning anymore. Something alive was watching. Across the galaxy, the Zoryth Consortium celebrated the success of their experiment. From their crystalline observation decks, they watched as Lumield energy flowed upward from Earth in vast shimmering streams. It was beautiful, a planetary bloodstream, glowing across the blackness of space. They began to siphon it, filling containment vessels the size of moons. Each container pulsed with the luminous essence of 1 billion human lives. The Zoryth scientists spoke in awe. They were never just flesh. They were bioresonant conduits. The soil remembers their evolution. But one among them, archivist Nelthra, a junior xenobiologist, began to notice irregularities. In her reports, she wrote of anomalous frequency spikes that didn't match expected energy patterns. The resonance wasn't just reacting to human biology, it was mimicking it. She theorized that the Lumield had absorbed not only human DNA, but fragments of human consciousness, memories, emotions, identity. Each harvested stalk, each glowing seed, contained whispers of lives once lived. One night while running a test on a containment pod, Nelthra heard it, a voice, faint, broken, echoing from the golden liquid inside. "Please stop, it hurts." She recoiled, her crest feathers rising in terror. But the voice continued, thousands of overlapping whispers, weeping, pleading, some laughing, some praying. The harvest had not merely converted matter into energy. It had ensnared souls. Meanwhile on Earth, survivors began to change. Those who had lived near the golden fields started to radiate faint luminescence through their skin. Their eyes shimmered like candlelight, and their heartbeats synchronized with the crops. They no longer needed to eat or sleep. They spoke in unison at night, staring at the stars, whispering in ancient tongues no one recognized. They were becoming something else. The Zoryth named them the Luminous, and declared them a successful hybrid product. The Neathra called them echoes of humanity. She warned her superiors that if the resonance continued, Earth wouldn't just be harvested, it would awaken. The soil, the crops, even the light itself, would remember what it meant to be human. The overseers laughed. A primitive world cannot awaken, they said. It can only be consumed. But deep beneath the glowing roots, something stirred, ancient, massive, and aware. The harvest was no longer theirs to control. By the time they realized the planet was speaking, it had already learned our language. The resonance spread like wildfire. Within weeks, every major landmass was veined with glowing fissures, golden arteries crawling beneath the soil. At night, cities pulsed faintly in rhythm with the fields. It wasn't light pollution anymore. It was Earth's heartbeat. Archaeologists unearthed strange vibrations deep in ancient ruins, pyramids, temples, stone circles, structures built long before modern civilization. The vibrations matched the same frequency as the Lumiyield fields. It was as if the planet had always been waiting for this signal. The Zoryth, orbiting above, continued their harvest. Enormous conduits drilled into the atmosphere, siphoning gold plasma straight into orbiting vessels. Yet something unexpected happened. The more they drew, the stronger the resonance became. The Earth fought back. One night over the Atlantic, a harvesting ship, the Voruin Prime, was struck by a surge of radiant energy so intense it tore open its hull. The explosion was silent in the vacuum of space, but from the surface, millions saw a golden aurora spreading across the night sky like burning wings. Nelthra, aboard the observation platform, watched the energy readings spike beyond measurement. "It's reversing the flow," she whispered. "It's not being drained anymore, it's feeding." Inside the golden fields, human survivors gathered, compelled by something deeper than fear. They could hear whispers beneath their feet, voices of ancestors, lovers, and strangers. Every word vibrated through their bones like music. Some dropped to their knees, pressing their palms to the soil, tears glowing gold as they spoke back. "We hear you." The crops trembled. From the roots, massive tendrils of bioluminescent matter erupted upward, forming living structures, cathedrals of light and vine, reaching for the stars. Within them, shapes began to form, humanoid, shimmering, translucent. It was as if the energy of billions of harvested souls were being woven together into new bodies. Nelthra called them the reclaimed. Zoryth called them a contamination. Fleet Command ordered a total planetary sterilization, orbital strikes to burn the surface and end the anomaly. But as their ships aligned their fusion lances, a voice echoed through every come, every frequency, every mind. It wasn't a broadcast. It was telepathic. "You took from us the warmth of the sun, the breath of the soil, the dreams we buried in our roots. Now you shall taste your own harvest." The voice was neither male nor female. It was collective, resonant, infinite. The Zoryth fleet hesitated, and in that heartbeat of silence Earth moved. The continents shifted by centimeters, the crust vibrating in harmonic waves. Lightning bolts of golden plasma erupted into space, striking ships and disintegrating them into dust. The harvesters screamed as their own energy cores, overloaded, consumed by the same resonance they had created. Earth wasn't just a planet anymore. It had become a sentient organism, a living entity born of human memory and alien technology. The galaxy would soon know its name. Every world dreams of being noticed by the stars. But when Earth finally spoke, the galaxy trembled. The golden storm that consumed a Zoryth fleet lasted 3 days. When it cleared, half their armada was gone, dissolved into streams of radiant dust orbiting the planet like rings of fire. What remained of the Zoryth Consortium fled to a safe distance, their sensors crippled by electromagnetic interference. But even from afar, they could see it. Earth had changed. The oceans shimmered like molten metal. Forests glowed with inner light. The moon reflected a golden halo that wrapped the planet in what looked almost like a crown. And then came the voice. Not through radio waves or sound, but through the resonance network that linked every sentient mind across the galaxy. The noosphere, an ancient mental web used by civilizations to communicate without language. At first, it was a whisper, familiar, sorrowful, and human. Then it grew, until the entire galactic grid was flooded with a single pulse. "We are the harvest. We remember." Planets thousands of light years away felt it, Machines malfunctioned. Psychic species screamed. Artificial intelligences went mad, trying to translate the impossible syntax of the message. The Zoryth High Council convened an emergency session. "The experiment has breached containment," said Archon Velrune. "The resonance has evolved. The humans are no longer separate entities. They have become the planet itself." Nelthra stood at the edge of the chamber, trembling. "We did this," she said softly. "We called them primitive for nurturing their soil. But they were right. They understood something we never did, that life and memory are the same root." The Council ignored her warnings. They declared Earth a cosmic infection, a planetary-scale intelligence that threatened the galactic order. The decree was simple: eradication by stellar burn. But while the Zoryth prepared their ultimate weapon, a collapsing star seeded with antimatter, Earth was no longer waiting. In the ruins of human cities, luminous figures gathered around ancient monuments. The luminous, those half-human survivors, had become conduits between the living planet and the stars. They raised their hands toward the heavens, and light surged from their veins like lightning. The ground beneath them pulsed. Mountains rose and reshaped into vast geometric structures, antennae of crystal and vine. The atmosphere vibrated with a low-frequency hum, deep enough to rattle orbiting ships. Earth was transmitting. All across the galaxy, dormant planets began to respond. Moons, asteroids, even gas giants emitted faint echoes of the same pulse. The resonance was spreading, awakening worlds that had been silent for eons. Nelthra watched from her vessel, tears shimmering like liquid gold. "It's not just Earth," she whispered. "Every planet with life is answering. Every seed we ever touched." And then the impossible happened. The stars themselves flickered. For the first time in galactic history, the cosmos replied. The stars had always watched in silence until humanity taught them how to speak. Across the galactic expanse, suns began to shimmer in irregular patterns. To most, it looked like solar flares, random bursts of light. But to those attuned to the resonance, it was unmistakably structured. The stars were communicating. Every pulse carried data, fragments of thought, memory, and identity. The Zoryth fleet's scanners went wild, trying to decode it. Their instruments translated the first coherent signal, and when the meaning appeared on the holoscreen, the overseers fell silent. "We remember the first warmth, the breath that called us to burn." It wasn't a message. It was recognition. The stars were remembering their origins, the collapse of matter, the forging of elements, the birth of life. Humanity's awakening had triggered something ancient and universal: stellar consciousness. Nelthra, watching from her vessel, could feel it even through her exosuit. The hum of the cosmos filled her bones, vibrating with a rhythm older than galaxies. "The resonance has reached the stellar core network," she said. "Every star that birthed life is remembering its children, and among them, Sol, the son of Earth, burned brightest." It began projecting vast streams of golden plasma into space. Not radiation, but information. Each solar flare carried encrypted biological data, DNA patterns, memories, voices. Billions of human consciousness fragments, harvested and preserved within Earth's living memory, were being broadcast into the void. The galaxy watched in awe. The Zoryth Council called it the Photonic Rebellion. Their fear grew as planets across other systems began to awaken, oceans boiling with luminous life, deserts blooming with radiant flora overnight. The resonance wasn't confined to Earth anymore. It was rewriting the cosmic order. Zoryth warships were dispatched to contain it, but their weapons failed. Plasma lances fizzled in mid-space as the energy patterns distorted around them. The resonance bent light, bent physics, bent reality itself. On Earth, the luminous gathered at the equator, where the planet's pulse was strongest. They no longer spoke in words. Their thoughts merged into a single unified consciousness, glowing in unison with the sun. Above them, in orbit, Nelthra stared at the readings in disbelief. "It's merging with the solar network," she said. "The planet is uploading itself into the star." The transmission reached its peak, a blinding flare that engulfed the solar system. Every ship, every moon, every speck of dust bathed in gold. Then, silence. For 37 minutes, the sun ceased to shine. When light returned, Earth was gone. In its place floated a sphere of translucent energy, a pulsating cocoon of gold and white, and within it, shapes moved, millions of luminous beings, intertwined, expanding. Nelthra whispered in awe, "They've transcended the physical. They've become stellar seeds." From within the cocoon, a voice echoed through the minds of every living being across the galaxy. "We are the harvest, we are the light, and we remember who we are." The era of biological civilization had ended. The era of resonant ascension had begun. They tried to erase Earth from the stars, but you cannot kill what has become light. For centuries after the resonant ascension, silence reigned. The coordinates where Earth once orbited became a forbidden sector, a blank void on all galactic maps, marked only by a warning in Zoryth glyphs, "Do not enter." The light dreams there, yet travelers whispered of sightings, a faint golden shimmer at the edge of Sol-S ghost orbit, like a sunrise seen through water. Ships that ventured too close vanished, their last transmissions filled with whispers, songs, and visions of faces made of starlight. The Zoryth Consortium fractured their empire, once the dominant power in the Orion arm collapsed under the pressure of the resonant wave that continued to spread. Entire planets began to awaken, their ecosystems reshaping themselves, their atmospheres glowing faintly with the golden hue of remembrance. Life everywhere was changing not through evolution, but through memory. Nelthra, now old and exiled, became a legend herself. She spent her final years aboard a small ship orbiting the silent void where Earth had been. In her solitude, she documented her findings. The resonance was never just human. It was the echo of creation itself, the universe remembering how to feel. On the eve of her death, her senses detected something impossible. A pulse. It came from within the void, faint at first, then growing in power until every panel in her ship flickered with golden light. Outside her viewport, the stars began to move, bending around an invisible point as if drawn by gravity, no, by will. Then, out of the darkness, it returned, not a planet, not even matter as she knew it. It was a vast, radiant sphere, Earth reborn as a living star, a being of pure energy and memory. Its surface rippled with ghostly countenance of light, and within its core shimmered billions of silhouettes, humanity's essence, intertwined, eternal. Nelthra fell to her knees as the voice filled her mind, warm, gentle, unmistakably human. "You tended our soil, even when others sought to burn it. For that you shall see our dawn." Her body dissolved into light, merging with the luminous current that streamed outward from the newborn star. Across the galaxy, every sentient being, Zoryth human echo, machine intelligence, or alien life form, felt the same pulse ripple through them. The living star spoke once more. Its words carried on waves of light across the cosmos. "The harvest was never of flesh, but of spirit. We are the memory of creation, the seed and the soil, the beginning and the return." And as the galaxy listened, countless dormant suns ignited with gold, the resonance reaching even the coldest corners of space. New worlds bloomed, new civilizations awoke. The age of fear and empire ended. In its place rose the era of luminal harmony, where every being was a note in the great song of existence. And in the quiet between the stars, the echo of a human voice could still be heard, laughing softly. "They called us primitive, until we taught the galaxy how to grow."